Counter-Narrative News, bringing you daily news today on Friday the 21st of April 2023. A Jummah Mubarak and a big Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim audiences. Wishing everyone, whatever degree of piousness or not, congratulations at the end of the holy month and all the best going forward. First of all, going to the controversy around Adele James, who is playing Cleopatra in a docudrama on Netflix, which is narrated by Jada Pinkett Smith. It's triggered frankly a racist backlash, because who cares if a black woman is playing Cleopatra in the context of the different discussions around the historical research as to Cleopatra's ethnicity? Does it really matter? I mean, you had Anthony Quinn playing in the 1981 film Line of the Desert. You have Anthony Quinn playing Umar al-Mukhtar, and that film was widely welcomed and received by audiences, including North African and Arab audiences. You had in 1982 Ben Kingsley playing Gandhi. Forgive me, but somewhat laughable having Ben Kingsley playing Gandhi. They couldn't find any Indian actor. Anyway, again, just widely accepted. And then so why is it that a black woman plays Cleopatra? It triggers this response. So that's the issue, really. And some people are feigning, oh, it's not historically accurate and this and that. I mean, it's just, who cares? Just shut your mouth and enjoy the thing. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. But the other side of all of this, it's a little bit of a tedious and boring aspect of the culture war, which brings no one to anywhere more positive. And really, these issues have to be kind of anchored into real, actual, meaningful things for the global grassroots, be it in North Africa, around the Middle East region, and into other parts of Africa, or anywhere in the world. I mean, if we're not fighting racism to actually unite the oppressed, to actually develop a better life for the oppressed, what's the point, frankly? And all of these controversies and arguments tend to be quite toxic and sabotage any real, the way these things could inform a liberation struggle. So obviously, opposing the internalization of white supremacy and colonial nationalisms and chauvinisms is important all around the world, including in Egypt and North Africa. And Counter-Narrative News has reported a lot on this, particularly on this aspect when it comes to Libya, also the Algerian state, and also in Tunisia. So please, we'll reference people to go back and to check our previous commentaries on that. Tragic news in Sanaa, the capital of Yemen. 78 people are killed in a stampede towards the end of the holy month. 2/3 of the population in Yemen need all kinds of food aid and etc. And this tragedy happened because of distribution of food aid, around $9 per person, and it wasn't organized properly, obviously. And it's just again, it points to how undignified it is for the experience of the global working class, and particularly one of the poorest countries in the world, and even deepening the oppression in Yemen is a 10-year-long internal conflict there, which is seeing some moves away from it. There's been a big prisoner swaps between the Saudi-led neo-colonial military oppression of Yemen and an exchange with the Houthis, which is obviously, it's good to see prisoners being released back to their families. However, this is in a context politically of things being pushed more in a reactionary, counter-revolutionary, pro-neo-colonial direction in the region in general, despite appearances. Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, has been at the White House with President Biden, his counterpart in the USA. Biden has thanked Petro for receiving Venezuelan migrants and refugees, millions of which have been given a 10-year guaranteed stay by the Colombian government. Also, Gustavo Petro in part responds to Biden, encouraging Biden to ease and remove the sanctions against Venezuela and the leadership of Venezuela in Maduro, which Biden has not agreed to at all. Gustavo Petro is himself a former guerrilla member of a radical left-wing guerrilla movement in Colombia, and now he represents some hope in Colombia. But like in other states in the region, including in Brazil with Lula, it could be that the right wing or the far right are back in power in 4 to 5 years, and in that context, is it really ethical to demand the disarmament of long-standing socialist anti-colonial guerrilla armies in Colombia? One wonders around that. Staying in the region somewhat, President Lula is facing a fallout after his comments, and basically being accused by Western states and by others and the Ukrainians of quote-unquote parroting the Chinese and Russian position on the colonial invasion, occupation and annexation of Ukraine by a much bigger superpower that is the Russian state. The Lula leadership has kind of in Brasilia has stated that they don't want to be seen as parroting the Chinese and Russian position there, and they'll tone that down as Lula visits Portugal and Spain in the coming a few days. But this points to the fact that, I mean, if Lula wants to give any leadership, which he arguably hasn't done yet, and there's no leadership coming from anywhere really in the world, we have to just reassert the concept of self-determination of small nations against much bigger colonial powers' aggression in this regard. And that's just a fundamental point in any kind of very basic anti-colonial leftist advocacy. And finally, on this day back in 2003, we lost a absolute giant of a leader in our struggle in the cultural sphere. That's Nina Simone, an absolute committed fighter, struggler, comrade, beautiful singer, artist, comrade of Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, very much part of the leadership in the cultural sphere of the global anti-colonial, anti-white supremacist black revolution. Salutations to Nina Simone. What an amazing contribution she has made, which will live on forever. That's Counter Narrative News. Wishing everyone a fantastic weekend. Please continue to support us by encouraging your friends and contacts to subscribe to our YouTube channel and consider following us at our Twitter account at counter_CNN. Many thanks.